Namaste and welcome to our very first episode of The Safe Space with Binny. My hands are cold. I'm having like million butterflies. But let's get started. I'm a licensed psychologist with almost a decade of an experience working with adolescents, youth, parents, grandparents, and just people. One of the things that I do believe is that when we open the door to something new and fresh, we need to honor where we came from, our past. And that means let's talk a little bit about 2025 before we get all excited about 2026. The purpose of this podcast for each of you is to remember that you're not alone. 2025, the year that was, just the thought of it, just the mere mention of it, felt like a tsunami to a lot of us, including myself. Divorce, death, grief, pain, heartbreaks. Oh my God. I'm not even talking about the world problems here. I'm just talking about you and me. A lot has been going on. We've all experienced hurt, pain, grief, sadness, anger, rage, and a lot more, and many emotions. If this resonates with you, continue listening to us. I have put across some of the things that I practiced in my 2025 when I was really low. And trust me, I've been low almost every month, multiple times. What do I mean by feeling low? I was in my shower, sitting down like a baby, crying like a 2-year-old, sobbing. Just yesterday, I was sitting on my dining table, putting my hands and just my forehead on it and just sobbing like a child. And I've gone through those moments just before I enter my space with my clients. So, what is it that helps me just show up and survive? It's not going to be something like, oh, I did it and you do it too. It's more going to be like, oh my God, I'm struggling with it. And let's come back to just surviving and showing up. Because life does happen and we still need to show up. I'm going to give you tiny stories about my life and linking it to practices that just help me show up. Swollen eyes and all, but still show up. Somewhere 3 months into 2025, I was going through serious and severe burnout. And we don't talk about it, right? Even as a psychologist, of course, I talk to my clients about it. But sometimes in this roller coaster of working and being a mom and showing up, you forget that burnout is so normal. And so I went back to my normal practices thinking this would go away. 8 months into the year, and I could feel it. I could feel the edginess. I could feel that I was getting a bit snappy and just not totally enjoying what I was doing. It's then that I realized that 10 years of working 6 days a week is catching up to me. And although I do decide, oh, I'll start taking a break here and there, it just never happens when I need it. And I believe that we need to take care of ourselves as a preemptive thing, not wait for the burnout. So what I did was something absolutely transformational. Honestly, I had self-doubts about it, but I coined it Magical Mondays. Why Mondays? Because I was born on a Monday. It's my 50th year. And so I said, you know what? Let's do this, Binny. I'm going to coin this Magical Mondays, and Magical Mondays is going to be all about me. Am I not going to see clients? Yes, I'm not going to see clients, but I would be doing desk work that I really enjoy. Food, I'm going to cook what I love. Oh my God, all my favorite recipes. Books, I'm going to read, walk in the forest. Even if there is any chore or work that needs to be done, I'm going to pause, tap into myself, and ask, Binny, what do you want to do about this? And that's how I'm going to lead the day. Just one day a week, which is not a Sunday, all about you. I realized that when I started that, it was absolutely liberating. It gave me such a big boost to show up to work every other day. So yeah, which day of the week are you going to make it magical or not? There is something written by Brené Brown in this amazing book that I forgot the title. It's called Freaking First Time. I realized that we stop living life where we are ready to fail. What first time things that I did, which I've never done before, taught me that I'm human, and opened me to the idea of failing and not getting it right. Something like this. My first episode, right? So, what does freaking first time do when you're really going through it? It basically shifts your brain to something new. The experience is new. You're scared like a child, like you're going for a race. Anything. It could be anything. It could be trying going and sitting on a roller coaster if you've not sat in it for 10 years. It's do something small. All right. Try to wear an outfit that is probably not your style. Okay. Have a haircut, which something your friends and family feel you'll never do it. It's just about doing something that you've never done before. I do know that when you try something like this, all your happy hormones are raging and they are happy. And it makes you feel like an instant lift. You still go back to your problems. Let me tell you, it's not that your problems go away. It just gives you a little bit more boost to show up to your problems. So I feel to me that worked. I would love to know, what have you done which was for the first time for yourself? The next one I'm going to share has a very crazy story, and I'm sure you're going to be probably thinking, I can never do that. So I do understand that rage is a very big emotion, and I do know that everyone feels rage. I also understand that when we feel angry as a woman, especially women, when we feel angry or we feel intense rage, there's a lot of shame attached to it. So we are kind of wired, and even I am wired to feel that being calm, especially in front of the world, is far more important and poised than actually expressing rage. But what do we do when we feel it? What do we do when our boundaries are violated? What do we do when we feel betrayed? Because trust me, there was this time in September where I felt so hurt, so betrayed. And I just felt that nobody gets me. And my anger was real. And so I remember I was in my gym and I was working out and I was like having these 100 narratives in my mind. And I'm able to see all those narratives. And nothing that I did in my gym helped me move that energy. So as soon as I finished gym, I went upstairs to my room and I put this loud music that resonated with my anger. And honestly, I danced like no one is watching. And trust me, when I was dancing, I looked like a mad woman. I'm sure if there was a CCTV camera or someone filming this, there'd be like million hits because people would be laughing. What is this woman really doing? And that's what my narrative told me when I was dancing. That, oh my God, what are you doing? Are you crazy? Look at you. What are you doing? What are you trying to act? And I walked past that narrative and I kept moving and kept dancing. Even if I felt weird, I just didn't stop. I didn't stop until I felt every bit of rage was spent through those movements. And trust me, an hour later, I felt absolutely liberated from what I was feeling. A day later, I had much deeper understanding of what was my anger trying to tell me. Because one of the things I'm learning is our emotions are here to tell us a story, but we so get tuned into the narratives and the blaming and the judging and being the victim. And even I go through that. But when we move that energy through intention, something replaces that. There is some deep transformation around it. And I realized that, wow, this was epic. I feel that if each one of us can just like tune into our bodies and dance like no one's watching, there's so much story there in our body and we get to listen to them. So yes, does it sound weird? Yes, but do I do it now as a practice? Absolutely. I would really want my listeners to probably pick this one, even if they miss all the other practices in your 2026. So whatever the emotion is, if it is rage, if it's anger, if it's shame, if it's hurt, if it's breakup, put good music and dance. And there's something funny about this. I remember there was a day when I was just feeling low, and guess what music did I put? I actually put Garba. And now imagine your living room, like my living room, not even living room, my bedroom, and Garba, and I'm in my probably shorts and just doing Garba steps, looking absolutely crazy. But I felt so happy because when I listen to Garba, it reminds me of my childhood. I'm sure some music, it could be Christmas carols, it could be Christmas music, something that reminds you, it could be some Bhangra that reminds you of your childhood and happy times. And you'll immediately see something shift in your energy. There's a big power to silence. And it's the most underrated conversation we have. When I practice silence, and let me get into what silence means to me. Silence means no input, no output. That means you're not listening to anything, you're not writing, you're not journaling, you're not doing. There's nothing. You don't even need to close your eyes. You're just being still. You're just being. And so, what happens when you're just being? You get like a waterfall of thousands of thoughts pouring in. Suddenly, it could be something that you have to cook. It could be an email that you haven't sent. It could be a teacher that you have to reach out to for your children. And wow, it goes on and on and on. And so your brain gives you narratives to move, to shift, to do it. And you sit in stillness, just being. And in that moment, you have overpowered your narratives and your thoughts. And so, what does that do for me? I was really going through it with my imposter syndrome. Yes, everyone has those. And I felt that I really needed to understand what's going on. And I sat in silence. I don't even remember for how long. But the beauty of it is when you are sitting in silence, and at some point of time your thoughts give up, is when you meet all different versions of you. So I had a version who was like critical, showed up, and I had a version who was like debating with that critic. And then I had another version who was just watching all this. And then I had another version who felt so isolated and sad and saying, me too. So all different versions of you, the sad, angry, critic, judgmental, blaming, kind, shows up in those moments of silence. And it's like having chai with them. It's like listening to all those versions. And at some point of time, you realize the truth, your truth in those conversations. And so that's what happened to me. When I was still enough, the truth came to me. What am I really struggling with? What am I running away from? What are my real fears? And who is this person talking to me? Wow, I was spoken to like this as a child by certain someone. Aha, so that's who you are. So you meet versions of yourself which you have completely suppressed from decades. I believe this is one of the most powerful practices. And I always remind myself, and I'm reminding you, that it's never like, oh my God, I have to sit 30 minutes today in silence. No, there is no to do there. There is just be. So if on a certain day I can just manage to be for 2 minutes, that's a big win. And on those days when I manage to be still for 30 minutes, that's beautiful. And then another day I'm back to just about 4 minutes. And that's beautiful. I'm reminding you, start with just 1 minute of being. And slowly, when you feel confident, notice if you can pull it to 4 minutes. The day you can pull it to just 7 minutes, you will see something incredibly move within you. I promise you, at the end of this exercise, you will find yourself. So let's witness what have we so far spoken about. Magical Mondays. For me, I don't know which one would be yours. Dance like no one's watching? Yes, absolutely yes. Freaking first times like the safe space with Binny? Absolutely yes. Silence practice. That's a tough one. I know that's a tough one. What else did I struggle with in 2025? A lot of things. Ooh, this one is a big one. Woo. Just about a couple of months ago, my mom was severely sick in the hospital and she was in ICU. And wow, that was a huge threat, fear. Even right now, talking about it, my hands are going cold again, and I'm still struggling with her health. God's been kind and she's okay. Having said that, I remember that when she was in ICU and I would go and spend my time in the visiting hours with her, the tiniest of the thing that was in my control is what I did. I would ensure that when I finished that visit, I would look around and give a silent prayer and blessings to every individual in that ICU. Why? Because that's the kindest thing you can do. It was a silent prayer. Why? Because it also reminded me that I'm not alone in this. Every other family in this room is struggling with the same pain and fear and threat that I am. Why? Because when you do something for someone else, it instantly lifts your spirits. That's how we are as human beings. We are supposed to be constantly taking care of each other, nurturing each other, reminding each other that we are not alone. So, although that practice was just probably a minute, right? But it completely gave me a sense of grounding, a sense of hope and strength, especially for anyone who's listening to this, is going through something that's difficult where your ailing parent or an ailing spouse or a child, and you don't know what to do. This could be the tiniest bit you could do and see how something shifts or not. Remember, none of these conversations is ever about fixing. Everything about this conversation is about feeling, acknowledging that life is happening. Yes, this is going on. Yes, I feel betrayed. Yes, I feel tired. Yes, I feel nobody understands me. And yet, what am I going to do about it? And yet, how am I going to sit, feel, cry, sob, purge, but move on and find one tiny anchor to help me show up in the world? Because we still have to show up, guys. We can't not show up, right? One of the things that I love, absolutely love, which helps me also to bring in this spark and energy to my work, is constantly learn. And I'm sorry, guys, the idea of learning has left us with such deep trauma because because let's not even get into our education system or the way we were taught. But I also know that today learning is the most important thing you can do for yourself and for your brain. And what I totally love doing is, number one, listening to TED Talks, listening to podcasts. That's a way of life for me. Why are these things important? Because number one, it teaches us there is so much going on in the world that we are not aware about. Where can you start from? Anywhere. Think about a time that you really felt that you want to know about this or understand about this, but you don't know who to ask. And now there is so much available. All you have to do is type few keywords on Google and it'll help you with what you really need to listen to, right? Ask yourself, what am I really struggling with? What is it, that one thing that I so wanted to learn as a child? And maybe now is the time. So when you listen to podcasts, trust me, it makes your neurons like fire, like absolutely fire. And why is this important? It's important for me because I believe that when life is happening and I'm feeling like a failure, or I feel I can't manage this, or I'm feeling angry or threatened or sad, just listening to someone reminding me of my power is absolutely worth it. Because every time I listen to a podcast or a TED Talk, I realize that, oh my God, there's so much to do. And suddenly there is this renewed sense of motivation in me. Again, it's that boost of energy that helps me do my sprint or marathon all over again. So I don't think so I have ever had a month or a year where I have not leaned into these practices, because especially the TED Talks and podcasts and whatever else that works for you. It could be YouTube clips or shows that really empower you or remind you of your spirit, of your resilience. So whatever works for you, but just lean into learning, because the most important thing nobody can ever take away from you is your knowledge, right? Um, I am passionate about reading. Let's not even get there. I'm somebody who reads, 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 reads. I don't think so I ever go to bed without reading. And so again, if this sounds preachy or arrogant, I'm so sorry, but that's not what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to remind you is that reading is fun. It takes you to a different space. It could be your space. It could be fiction. It could be non-fiction. but it's also something that helps you be distracted, right? Sometimes we are struggling with our own sorrows, and reading gives you, like, it's like a door opening to a whole new world. Stories, thrillers, whatever that works for you. Coming back to reading is one of the best ways you can give your brain that needed break. Because let's not even get into what screen time does to us. I wouldn't get there today. So, yeah, reading is another of such practice which has helped me sail through, especially however hard or tough the day has been. The most underrated thing, apart from dancing, is playing. Guys, when was the last time you actually played? Like, played. No, really, played. Sitting together, cards, sitting together, board games, just running around, trying to catch your dog, asking your dog to catch you. I know it sounds crazy, doesn't it? But if it immediately gives you an instant energy lift and releases your happy hormones, it's any day worth it. This is what we are used to. That as children, that's all what we loved: exploration, playtime, curiosity. When was the last time we were curious? I've realized that when I'm really done and I'm tired and I feel exhausted, I lean into playtime. Okay, it could be something silly. It could be just playing with my dog with his favorite toy. It could be asking one of my friends and just gathering and just having a fun game of a board game, family times. It could be anything for you. What does play mean to you? I'm just reminding you to come back to that happy child of yours. As I said, as adults, life is happening. As adults, we still have to suck it up and move on. Although that's not the healthiest thing to do, is it? Is it helping any one of us? So when life is happening as adults, let's get back to that little child in you. Let's have some fun, laughter, being silly, absolutely silly. Yes, we say a lot about making the world a better place. We talk a lot about impact. But if we simplify this, for me, what has really worked is impacting or even making a difference by sharing your gift in whatever area you can. It could be just teaching something that you're really good at, teaching someone something that you're really good at. It could be just sharing your gift and volunteering. It could be spending some time with someone who's not as blessed as you are. What I've realized is when you share your gifts, it could be anything. It could be just teaching something to someone, like I said. It could be you teaching someone how to color, right? Just sharing your gifts, whatever that it is. Teaching a recipe to your friend, okay? Anyone who needs to learn something and you know you're good at it, share that gift. That sense of what I do matters, and it's nothing to do with your career. It's nothing to do with your hobby. It's just about sharing with someone that you feel would enjoy this and they feel that they appreciate it. Keep it as simple. That always gives us a sense of purpose and meaning. One of the things life is teaching me is that we all wake up to something which adds value of our contribution to the world. And so when we do something tiny for someone else, it really makes us feel that my space in the world matters. It's just the sense of connectedness that we feel that helps us again rise above our worries and sorrows and pain. Wow, I think I've spoken a lot for today, but one final practice that totally helped me is that, say you don't feel like doing any of this, all right? Say all of this is just too much. Just start observing the world around you and appreciate something, appreciate someone. I'm sure that you could be walking on a street and you notice someone's shoes and you're like, oh my God, I love those shoes. Well, just speak that out loud. Say, excuse me, just wanted to tell you, I love those shoes and you look so pretty in them. Simple. When you do that, you are literally having a connection, a human connection with a complete stranger. You're looking into their eyes, they're looking into your eyes. When you share this compliment, their eyes light up. There's a big smile and they're also surprised. The other day, I was in Karura Forest and I noticed this girl with a cap and she was so beautiful. At least to me, she looked so beautiful. And it was absolutely amazing just witnessing her talking animatedly to someone. And I was almost going to tell my daughter, oh my God, look at her. She's so pretty, isn't she? And I said, wait a minute. Before telling her, I just walked up to her and I said, excuse me, just wanted to tell you you're so beautiful. And you should have seen the shock on her face. And she's like, but my hair is oily and I'm not even put any makeup. And duh, it's forest. But did you notice what just happened in that moment? In that moment, we observed beauty from the lens that you are looking at, from the lens that I'm looking at. For that girl, I'm sure it would have been a story that she'll go back and share with 5 of her friends or family members, or something that will help her drive through the whole week. And that is what is needed in the world today. We need to be more human, more connected, because our species was just used to that. It was always about nurturing and talking and building a community and doing things together. So, one tiny compliment to a stranger, and just that. For me, I just feel so happy for the rest of the day. I feel even if you forget everything, don't forget the humanity in simple things. As we end this episode with this tons of practices as your toolkit for 2026, let's have a quick recap of the practices that helped me survive my 2025. There was Magical Mondays, silence practice, freaking first time, dance like no one's watching, watching TED Talk and podcasts, reading, of course, offering your personal gift to the community or anyone you love, find beauty and appreciate it, play like a child, and always be grateful for the life that you have. I do hope that this toolkit kind of helps you move on and enter your 2026 with absolute incredible spirit. Know that each of you matter. Know that each of your struggles are valid. All right? Just remember that you can do this. And I'm so excited to have my first episode, and I hope you're listening to this. For everyone who's listening to me, don't miss out the next episode. It's going to come out in February, the Valentine's month. We are going to talk about love and relationships. Ciao.